Watch Symposium. I'm Austin, and you guys know I've been wearing this Vostok Amphibia for about a week, and there was a comment on one of my videos from Jason Moon, and he doesn't get it. He doesn't understand why I like Vostoks, and I understand why he doesn't understand. I mean, why would a Rolex guy like these cheap Russian watches? And so I thought I'd make a video explaining why. I'm not trying to sell Vostoks or convert anybody, just telling you what I see in these interesting little Russian watches. Reason number one, they're unique. You could wear this watch for years and probably never come across somebody wearing another Vostok, much less this particular dial style. They've got multiple dial styles, and it's not like you can pop down to any store here in Japan and pick up a Vostok. Not like you can a Casio or a Seiko or a Grand Seiko or even a Rolex. You can buy any Rolex here in Japan if you've got the money, but you'd be hard-pressed to find this. Anybody could order it, but it takes effort. You kind of have to track down the Vostoks, and when you do, you feel like you're ordering a little piece of Russia. And that's reason number two. These watches are rough around the edges, like many Russian people and like many aspects of Russian culture. They're a throwback to the 80s, the Cold War. These are the watches that, from a young American growing up in the 80s, watching movies, watching war movies, these are the watches that, quote, bad guys would have worn. And it's kind of interesting because, look, I know they weren't the bad guys, they're just the other side, but these really were the watches that they were wearing. And they are pieces of Russia in watch form. If you like Russian culture and you're interested in Russian culture, maybe you like aspects of it, then having one on your wrist it's a link to that. I think that's kind of cool. Reason number three, the dials. If I were to tell you to close your eyes and imagine a watch that had on the dial a seagull, a star, an anchor, and a submarine, you'd say, wow, that's going to look pretty cluttered, but Vostok manages it. And this is one of my favorite Vostoks, a beautiful blue gradient dial that hearts of either the sea or the sky. And you've got all of those elements that I mentioned. And look, it's part of that Russian military machismo, but also there's something that appeals to the little boy in you, I think, these war machines. And you have your choice of many different dials. That's another aspect I love about Vostoks, whether you want a submarine or artillery or a plane or a tank or divers. I mean, the scenes are endless, and clearly I think I like my submarines. And these watches are little submarines. They can go deep, and we'll get into that. Now, a lot of people might not like the war machines. You can get classier looking Vostoks, all right? Now, this is a step up. It's a little bit more GQ. I think this is kind of boring. I really wouldn't want a Vostok without a war machine on it, I think. I think that's just a pleasure to look down at. You could go with something like this, a vintage Buckley dialed Kalachava-esque manual wine Vostok. This is kind of interesting. And talk about a rare watch. I'm not saying it's a valuable watch, but I defy you to find another watch like this. Or a watch like this that has a GMT function. The ones with the pictures. I mean, how often do you get to look down and see a little piece of art, a little illustration on your watch? It's fun. Reason number four, these are very unique watches, not just because of the dial style or whether you can find one on another person's wrist, but, the crown, from its characteristic wobbly nature to the way the watch keeps water out, which is absolutely brilliant. Most dive watches keep water out through tight seals, big thick cases, to quote Craig Teal Jones, brute strength. And think about Rolex. The deeper the watch can go, the thicker and more bulky it is. And these watches approach that problem in a much more clever way. They use the water pressure itself to their advantage. As the watch goes deeper, the water pressure increases, and that presses down on the case back and presses the case back into the rubber seal. One other great advantage of these watches is you can regulate them very easily. You would never want to take the case back off of a Rolex or most watches, because when you do so, you need to put in a fresh seal. You can't just use the same seal. It twists down and it gets all mangled, and when you take it off, you can't use that mangled seal again. So you have to have a supply of seals. But the way Vostoks work is you have this thick gasket here, and I've taken the case back off of this watch probably 50 times, and I could take it off 50 more times. But the way it's designed is this top just sits on that rubber gasket, and it's that rubber gasket that the water pressure presses the back into as it goes deeper. And it's just a really cool design, and most watches that are worth their salt have some sort of technological breakthrough or advantage or first. And this is a watch that costs about 50 bucks, and to be honest, they've solved the problem of water pressure and a watch going deep more cleverly than even Rolex could. And because you don't have to replace this washer, it makes regulating these watches really easy. You can get them into COSC standards, and I think I'm going to tweak this watch, slow it down a bit, and we'll do that. All right, and so now that it's done, I could just put this back on. I don't have to get another seal. I can screw this back in. All right, so you can regulate them, and from a watch guy's perspective, they're just fun to play with, and it's fun to be able to get in your watch and regulate it and tweak the timing, and all for 50 bucks. I mean, I think I've probably had 50 bucks worth of fun just wearing it this week, but that's a lot of bang for buck. And so that is not an exhaustive list, but it's a few reasons why I like Vostok watches. And hey, if you haven't ever tried a Vostok watch, it'll cost you 50 bucks to make it happen, and I think it's money well spent. It's an experience for sure. Thanks for watching. Take care. Let me know what you think of Vostoks. I'll see you next time. If you liked the video, give it a like, subscribe, share it on social media, throw in a comment, and thanks.